In many ways, classic World of Warcraft is a very solved game, and a big part of that game is the leveling journey from 1 all the way to 60, or even 70 in TBC. Over time, certain methods of leveling have risen to the top: Feral Druid, Enhancement Shaman, and so on. And I'm sure if you've leveled through this version of the game at all, you have played one of the most meta builds at least once on a playthrough. However, playing the same build again and again does make the journey feel a little longer than it needs to be, even if technically it is the most efficient way to do it. So what I wanted to do today is tell you about a non-meta build for every single class in the game. Now, these aren't supposed to be hidden options which are actually better than what are considered the meta builds for every class. However, I find you get more out of your class if you're actively taking an interest in the build you're picking for leveling. I've also tried to put these in order from what I consider are the least different from the meta builds but can still work, all the way down to the ones which are the most different and are the most effective. So with that said, let's make a start. In 9th place is the pick for Hunter, and it's going to be a survival / marksman build. The reason why is Hunter is really difficult to pull away from the super efficient playstyle of Hunter's Mark, Sempetin, Serpent Sting, and then just auto shot. And playing like that and going Beast Mastery is what I would consider being the meta spec. Using this spec, your pet will not be as tanky and it won't be holding threat as well, but you'll be doing a lot of your kiting thanks to the entrapment talent. Once you unlock Frost Trap, this talent has a 25% chance per pulse to root enemies for 5 seconds, and you also get extra durations on traps and a bonus hit chance through this talent tree as well, so essentially it will nearly always hit, and it can just chain root enemies back to back. You also get extra points in hit chance from Sure-Footed, and improved Feign Death, so that has a lower chance to resist too. Finally, towards the bottom of the tree you get 15% bonus agility, which is pretty nice as well. In the marksmanship tree we're going efficiency for lower mana costs, and then really just things which improve the damage of your shots and your range too. The playstyle would look something like dropping a Frost Trap, sending your pet in, Hunter's Mark, and then using some high damaging shots. You will go through more mana playing this, and it will be more of an active playstyle, but it is about as different as I feel as though you could make Hunter and still have it be fun. And just in case you're wondering, I wouldn't recommend a melee Hunter build. I know people have tried it out there and people will comment about it, but it's really not very good. At number 8 is what I call the No Form Druid. So essentially what we're doing here is we're playing a balanced build, but we're just not really bothering pressing Moonkin form, unless that is you're doing a lot of group content where the button is worth pressing. Outside of group content, I'm sorry, but Moonkin form just isn't worth the mana you're paying. It costs 35% of base mana, which is a huge amount, and realistically it's giving you 3% spell crit. The armor it gives you is nice, but if you want to take a reduced amount of damage, you can just press Entangling Roots and then walk away from an enemy. It's a lot cheaper than pressing Moonkin form. The thing is, when you're leveling, you're often traveling between points A and B, so you feel as though you constantly have to shift in and out of Moonkin form, and it just drains your mana super hard. The playstyle here would open with 2 Starfires, maybe 3 if you get a proc on the stun talent, and then dot enemies up with Moonfire and Insect Swarm. You'll then just melee stuff until it dies with your weapon, which will preferably be a staff. This build will be taking Omen of Clarity, which will have a decent chance to proc on every single fight, and if you use Omen of Clarity on a spell and it costs 0 mana, that won't interrupt your mana regeneration. And number 7 is a tank shaman build, and I think this is basically the only non-meta build you can do as a shaman. Usually you always start off as enhancement, and then it's viable to swap to elemental from about level 44 once you've got the talent points that reduce the cast time of Lightning Bolt. But for this talent tree instead, you'll be focusing on using a one-hander and a shield, and you'll be letting the majority of your damage come from Flame Shock, Searing Totem, Lightning Shield, and Flame Tongue weapon. That's going to be the foundation rather than using a two-hander and relying on Wind Fury or going through your mana super fast as elemental. That being said, I don't think this will be terribly mana efficient either, but that's kind of just a shaman problem. It is a bit of a hybrid spec at the end of the day, and there were a few talent points where I wasn't entirely sure where to put them. There is some nice synergy in this build too, such as Elemental Devastation and Flurry. So when a spell crits, it will give you an additional chance to melee crit, and when you melee crit, you'll get attack speed. And of course, with a build like this, you can absolutely go and tank dungeons. Shamans are completely fine at tanking lower to mid-level dungeons. In fact, in some cases, I think they'd be as good or even better than other tanks. They do fall off a bit at higher levels due to mana and a lack of taunt, but I definitely wouldn't be afraid of tanking with a build like this. And number 6 is the entry from the priest, and really here it has to be some kind of smite priest. At the start of the talent tree, you absolutely still pick up the Spirit Tap talent. It's kind of non-negotiable, it's just far too good for what it does. Even if you are actively casting more and you're not wanting to let your mana regenerate, which you wouldn't be doing with a smite build, you're going to be smiting, it's still just way too good. And I think people also overlook how it will synergize with a talent in the Holy Tree, which I'll mention in a moment. After Spirit Tap, we're going straight into the Holy Tree, picking up things such as Holy Specialization, Divine Fury, and Searing Light to buff up the damage of your smite. Just below those talents we have Spiritual Guidance, which increases your spell damage and healing by up to 25% of your total spirit. And Spirit Tap gives you a 100% bonus spirit after you kill a target. So these two are going to synergize with each other really nicely. So the playstyle is going to look like Holy Fire Opener is a big damage chunk with a dot attached to it, then maybe Shadow Word Pain afterwards if it's mana efficient, and then you're really just using Smite to finish enemies off. After you've got these core talents in Spirit Tap and Spiritual Guidance, you'll be going straight into the Discipline tree. You will get things such as Martyrdom that make you immune to spell pushback after you receive a crit, a ton of extra resists against stun, fear and silence effects, and some bonus armor from Inner Fire. So all in all, this should be a pretty tanky pre-spec, and you'll be looking to fill your mana pool up, then really chain together 2 or 3 kills super quickly, relying on the bonus from Spirit Tap that's giving you a bunch of extra spell damage. At number 5 we have the entry from the Warrior, and this is going to be focusing on using a one-hander and a shield, although we're not going protection. This talent tree just isn't really that good overall. It's one-hander and a shield, but we're playing Fury. And the reason for that is a lot of the talent points in the Fury tree don't directly scale with your weapon's damage as they do in the arms tree. You'll have things which improve the power of your shouts, your crit chance, improved execute, death wish, flurry, bloodthirst, and so on. All of these talents are still great even if you're only using a one-handed weapon. If you're playing a spec like this, or just a warrior at low level in general, I would also look out for items on the auction house that have the Of the Boar suffix. Of the Boar gear gives spirit and strength, and I've been underrating spirit as a stat on warrior for a long time, but if you have a bunch of spirit on a warrior at a low level, the amount of regeneration you get between each combat is pretty significant. So I know you're probably used to getting stuff of the bear for strength and stamina, or of the tiger for agility and strength, but I think of the boar items are undervalued and you should definitely try and get some out and see how you feel about it. The whole spirit scaling for regeneration does fall off once you get to higher levels, probably around level 30 plus honestly. After you put all your points in the Fury tree, you'll be going into arms, and the main two things here as per usual are Tactical Mastery and Impale. This spec will surprise you with how good it is at a lower level, and whilst it will fall off at a higher level compared to just going dual wield or some arms build, at the end of the day it is about playing something a bit different, and if you're wearing a shield all the time it will help you out with a ton more armor, which is another bonus. Next up I have a Shadow Destruction Warlock build for you. So the Destruction talent tree has always been a bit weird for Warlock. You have this kind of identity that's split between shadow damage and fire damage. On top of that you have higher than average mana costs and no bonus hit chance talent whatsoever. Usually with Warlock you're playing some kind of drain tank or demonology build. I think really this would be the best way to play something that's non-meta, although it really doesn't come online super well until you've got quite a few levels under your belt, and honestly it would be around the mid-level 30s. So you're starting off in the Destruction tree and you're really just picking up everything that affects shadow damage here, with key talent points being Bane for cast time reductions on this ability, Shadow Burn for a burst of damage at the end of fights, and Ruin for 100% extra critical strike damage. After that you'll be heading into the Destruction tree and looking to pick up improved Drained Soul as soon as possible. Now typically this is a talent point that everyone tells you to avoid. What it says is that it will give you a 100% chance to get 100% increased your mana regeneration for 10 seconds if the target is killed while you drain its soul. In addition, your mana may continue to regenerate while casting at 50% of normal. So it reads almost like pre-Spirit Tap ability. The difference is Spirit Tap affects your spirit total, whilst Drained Soul affects your mana regeneration. And your base mana regeneration isn't very good. However, if you are drinking, that will affect your mana regeneration. So really what you want to do is something similar to how the Smite Priest would have played, where you're getting a talent point to proc after you kill an enemy, which is going to increase your effectiveness at doing something massively. For Smite Priest it was increasing your damage. For the Destruction Warlock here it's increasing your mana regen. So you'll be looking to fill up your your mana bar all the way, and then your rotation will be to Shadow Bolt enemies and finish them off with Shadow Burn. And when you're getting towards Zoom, you'll press Drain Soul after Shadow Bolting, it'll proc improve Drain Soul, and then you drink back up to full and repeat the cycle. I would also recommend getting the add-on Necrosis for this, which will limit the amount of soul shards you have, otherwise they're really annoying to manage. After that, you're going down the Affliction tree, and there aren't really too many other useful talents here, but you do get Nightfall, which can give your Corruption a chance to proc instant Shadow Bolts, and Shadow Mastery down towards the end of the tree. This build ends up looking like a very standard Shadow Mastery Ruin type build, and you could do raids or endgame dungeons with this and be just fine. At number 3, I have the Frostfire Mage, which is a bit of a hybrid as the name suggests. You're going to start off in the Fire tree, picking up a bunch of talents which will allow you to do a ton of damage from a massive range. Fireball plus the flame-throwing talent has over a 40-yard range. By the time a fireball's travelled to an enemy, you're already casting the second one, and you will have the third one on the way before it's reached you. It's honestly a super underrated way of playing at a lower level. You'll also pick up Pyroblast, which you can alternatively start a fight with, which is just as good for the same reasons. Most importantly though in the Fire tree is you picking up Ignite, which makes it so when your spells crit, 40% of their damage is applied as a damage over time effect. You also get Master of the Elements for some mana efficiency, as well as Blast Wave. In the Frost tree, the main thing that we absolutely want is the Shatter talent. This increases the critical strike chance of all your spells against frozen targets by 50%. Not just frost spells, it's every single one of your spells. So really you'll be frost novering targets, then into a Fireball Fire Blast, and because both of those spells are landing on the same Frost Nova, they will have 50% bonus chance to crit, and then they'll be applying a massive Ignite debuff at the same time. This build will also do amazing damage in dungeons as it has Blast Wave, and even picks up improved Blizzard 2 for AoE pulls, or just getting things back under control during dungeons. The Mage just has so many different ways to play in vanilla. And number 2 is kind of a Holy Paladin, but honestly it's a little bit of everything. You will start off in the Holy Tree, picking up things such as improved Seal of Righteousness and Consecration. After that you'll be going into the Retribution tree to pick up talents such as Deflection to increase your chance to parry, Pursuit of Justice for extra movement speed, and most importantly improve Retribution Aura. The core of this spec will be more of a tanky type build where you're using a one-hander and a shield. You'll Judge Wisdom, apply Seal of Righteousness, and then just melee targets down, allowing your Seal, parry chance, and Ret Aura to do a bunch of the damage. And if you don't know why you want bonus parry chance, every time you parry an enemy's attack, your next attack has a 50% shorter swing time, so it's actively a DPS gain, and when you're swinging, you're proccing Seal of Righteousness too. So the two things really feed into each other. After that you'll be going back into the Holy Tree to go all the way down to Divine Favor, which is going to give you a 100% crit chance on a spell every 2 minutes, and then finally into the Protection Tree. This spec is a bit of an all-rounder. You could tank dungeons playing this, you could heal dungeons playing this, you could I guess sort of DPS, though it wouldn't be that great, and it would be efficient for open world play too. I guess the core playstyle of Paladin kind of just auto-attacking a lot would still be there, but I don't see how you can get away from that too much. Also, if you have a bunch of extra gold, you can get things such as Skullflame Shield, Demon Forge Breastplate, or even just some shield spikes. They will all be super beneficial as you want to be reflecting as much damage as possible. And number 1 is a Subtlety Rogue build. And for me, this is my preferred way to level rogues in general. I am really not a fan of combat. Yes, it's great in dungeons and raids and all that stuff, but I feel as though by the time you have enough combo points to do something, enemies are already dying in the open world. At the start of this spec, you'll be picking up Remorseless attacks in the Assassination tree, and then getting improved ambush in the sub tree as soon as possible. With these two things active, your ambush has pretty much a 100% crit chance. You have to be unlucky for it not to crit, like really unlucky. And when you're using ambush on a caster, it's gonna chunk off about half of their health, if not more, and that's just super satisfying to see. After you've picked up this, you'll want to continue down the sub tree and then pick up Hemorrhage. This is gonna be your kind of filler ability after you've used ambush at the start of a fight, and what you'll be using instead of Sinister Strike. This is a lower cost ability than Sinister Strike 2, so you'll just have more combo points to play with. You also pick up Deadliness towards the bottom of the tree for a bunch more attack power, and Premeditation allowing you to get a stronger opener occasionally. On top of that, this sub build just has so many more combo points to play with. The Initiative talent can give you an extra combo point on the left hand side of the sub tree. Just below that you have Setup, making it so when you dodge or resist a spell you can get a combo point. And in the Assassination assassination tree, Ruthlessness gives you even more chances to get more combo points. One final thing I love about playing the sub-tree is you get the Camouflage talent, which increases your speed while stealth by 15% and reduces its cooldown. Stealth while playing combat feels horrible to use. With this build, it feels like it should do, really smooth and reactive. And that's for me why I can definitely recommend trying this spec. But there you go, that's my attempt at one non-meta build for every single class in Classic WoW. And if you are leveling on TBC instead, honestly, you could adapt many of these to the TBC talent trees since they haven't changed significantly. And oftentimes the meta spec from Classic is still the meta spec in TBC. There's always room for experimentation in this game, and what better time to do it than when you're leveling and taking the journey at your own pace. So let me know whether you've tried any of these specs or whether you have any others of your own which are even more effective and hidden perhaps. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.